Yo, what's going on everybody? Today I'm actually going to make another N8N automation video where I'm going to explain how you can actually improve the reliability of your tool calling with AI agents. So in N8N, you have the ability to add tools to your AI agents. And one of the things that after this tutorial you're going to see is how to improve the reliability of that tool calling while actually reducing the price it costs per tool calling. Because how does tool calling actually work? In the basis, it is I guess these docs are a bit better to explain it. The basis, it is a function call. So for example, as a developer, you define your tools to the AI model. In this case, we just kind of connect them to the tool, and in the background, N8N is doing this for us. But what you're doing is you're connecting maybe the ability to get the weather and a prompt question, which will eventually come from the user. And what the model does is it actually calls that tool, and whatever that tool returns, it reprompts the model with. So you're actually having to call the API twice with the tool calling, which is almost twice as expensive. So of course, like there's some caching going on, which means that this part is not exactly twice as costly as the first, but it's near 2 times. So you actually want to limit the amount of tool calling to save money, and also just because in N8N at least, you can't force this agent to use the tools. It kind of has to use its own like brain to decide when it should be needed. And in this workflow that I'm going to show you how to make better, what I'm basically doing is creating like a knowledge base from previous emails. So what I do is I kind of went over this in the last video, but what I do is I loop through, or I get a bunch of emails related to a topic. So this can be anything, but in this case, it's related to a specific activity that we do at this company. So we get a bunch of emails related to that, and this pipeline just gets like the final message, which includes everything that the whole conversation between a client and us, so that the most amount of information can be learned. And I basically give that to the AI agent, and I tell it to get a document from Google Docs that starts empty, and keep updating that document with new things it learns, so that I don't have to like go through 100 emails and, learn myself how to actually deal with this activity that we're doing as a business. This AI can just like loop through 100 emails. I come back in 15 minutes and it creates a document. But as you can see, what I'm doing in this case is I have this AI agent, and this is in Dutch, but if I zoom in a little bit, what I'm basically saying here is like use the get a document tool to first see actually what is in the document. So because I don't want it to repeat itself. So every time it has to loop, it has to re-get the document, read it, and then update with using the tool, like the new things it learns. So this is unreliable because maybe it decides for some reason, if I'm doing 100 emails, it might decide to not use this like 2% of the time. So you lose in reliability, and it's going to cost you twice as much almost, because every time it's reading your prompt, using the tool, and then reprompting itself with that new information it got from the tool. Yeah, you want to minimize tool calling if you can, in my opinion, just because it's expensive and unreliable. So that's how I'm doing this kind of right now. And this is the improved version, which I would recommend. So the same thing, pipeline comes in, you're getting a bunch of emails. And now I'm actually using the loop over items node. And what this allows me to do is it allows me just to get the document like programmatically. So every time I start this loop, I first get the document, and then I just pass that document into the AI agent's context. So here you can now see like, here is the content, or what it looks like right now. So in the beginning, it's going to start empty, but every time it runs through here and it decides to use the update a Google document, it's going to finish that run, and then it's going to start back at the pipeline and then re-get the document. So now I've just improved the reliability to 100%. There's no chance that it will not get the document, and I've reduced the cost by twice. So yeah, in my opinion, just much better. And if you can try to, remove tool calling, basically for these 2 reasons. All right, so this is actually the first time that this has happened to me, but I clicked stop recording instead of clicking start recording. So I just had a nice example where I showed all of this, and now I have to re-explain it. But here we go. Let's change the date here so it gets a bunch of new emails. So here in the actual Gmail node, I can just quickly check if I was recording now. Just in the Gmail node, you can basically select like what emails you want to get. And one of the things you can filter on is the date. So now I'm just going to move this back a couple days so I get some new emails. And let's see this flow in action. So we start the flow manually and it gets 10 emails related to a specific subject. And now you can kind of see this loop over items do its thing. And every time it processes these emails one by one, it calls this tool 100% of the time. So that's nice. And it feeds that into the AI agent as a context. So we reduce the amount of tool calling, improve the reliability. I think you guys get the point now. And as it loops through, hopefully it's going to decide to use this. Oh, there it goes. It just added some new information into the actual Google Docs. So now you can see at the end, here is that information it added. And you can even see in the versioning that, we just had 10:53, which is the time it was 1 minute ago. So that was indeed just added. And then because like formatting is kind of difficult using the API, what I do is I just kind of copy and paste all of this. And I give it to ChatGPT again, and I ask it to clean it up, make it more readable, remove any duplicates, all that kind of stuff. And then you end up with this final document. And in the end, of course, this document is going to be used as the context for another AI agent that will automate email replies. So this is how you're going to build or fine-tune a model so that it's very aware of your business rules, context, prices, all these kind of things. And the last thing I wanted to show you guys is this actual effect of tool calling. As you see, there's 10 emails coming in. And this loop was called 11 times, as well as this OpenAI chat model 11 times. And that is because this update tool was called once. So what happens is it calls the update and then it kind of checks what the output of that tool call was, and then reprompts the chat model, as I was explaining. So that's why your cost goes up linearly with how many tool calls you make. And for 150 emails I think I've done now, I paid almost $2, and that's also because I'm not using the cheapest model. I'm using O4 Mini. But if you start doing this at scale, let's say you're automating thousands of emails, then these costs will start to add up because you're just paying almost twice as much or however many times as much as your tool calling. So that's why I would keep it in mind. And even if cost is not your biggest concern because your client is paying, you're still improving reliability. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.